Hello everyone, in this video we will see how to get started with your Microsoft SQL Server. It is very simple. As you are the beginner, you need not to worry much about the versions of SQL Server, whether you need to work with 2008, 2010, 2012 or 2014 or with what version of SQL Server you need to work. You need not to worry much about that. So anyway, as of now, let us proceed with the latest version, that is SQL Server Management Studio 2014 Express. As Express is free and you can download it, it does not require any kind of licensing. Now here you get the download center window. In system requirement, you can see what are the operating systems which are required, or what are the operating system that supports SQL Server 2014. You need Windows 7, Windows 7 with Service Pack 1, or Windows 8, 8.1, Windows Server 2008, and these are the operating systems that supports SQL Server 2014. And the RAM minimum, it should be 512 and hard disk 4 GB. Now I will say download. I'm going to download two files. One is 64-bit SQL Express, as my system is 64-bit operating system. Then I'm going to download Management Studio 64-bit Management Studio. So these are the two files that I have downloaded. I'll say next. It will start the download. So finally we are done with the download of both the files. So let me execute SQL Express setup file first. I'll say yes. Say OK. Now I will go for new SQL Server standalone installation. I'll say accept. Then I'll say next. I don't want SQL Server replication. I want only database engine services. I will say next. I will go for default instance, that is Microsoft SQL Server. Then I'll say next. Let the startup type be automatic. That means whenever I start my operating system, database engine should start running. I'll say next. Let me choose mix mode, the authentication type. I can also go for Windows authentication. If I choose mix mode, I can have both the option. One is Windows authentication, another is separate username, that is SA, and I can enter two passwords. Or if you want, you can leave Windows authentication as is. That means you need not to give any username password to access database engine. Basically it will take the username and password of your operating system. So I'll go for mix mode. I'll have a password here. So current user is the administrator here. So I'll say add current user is nothing but ThinkPad-PC. Say next. Now the installation process will start. So that's it. Finally we are done with installation of database engine. Now I'll say close. Next I'll just install Management Studio. I'll click on Management Studio. Say yes. Say OK. Now here I'll say new server standalone installation or add features to an existing installation. So here I'm going to add features. Say next. Now here I'll say add features to an existing instance of SQL Server 2014. I will say next. Now I'll just go for management studio tools. I'll also add client tool connectivity, all client tools. Now I'll say next. Now final installation process have been started. So finally we are done with the complete installation. I'll say close. I'll close this. I'll go for start button, all program, SQL Server 2014. Here you should see the management studio. Now I'll right click on management studio and I'll say pin to taskbar. So you'll see that in your taskbar. Now I'll click to start the management studio 2014. So this is a first time startup, it may take little time. As we know very well, we are going to go with your database engine and our server name is thinkpad-pc slash SQL Express, SQL Express. So I'll say connect. Now I got connected successfully. Here you have databases folder and you have the databases, existing databases available. Now I'll just say disconnect. I'm going to connect again. Now I'll just say browse for more. Database engine. I'm going to connect to ThinkPad-PC SQL Server Express or SQL Express. ThinkPad-PC SQL Express. Say OK. Say connect. So I have got connected successfully. I have databases folder. Now I can just right click and say new database. I can start creating. One initial setting that we need to do is go to tools, options, select designer and uncheck this, prevent saving changes that require table recreation. I'll uncheck this. Now I'll say OK. Whenever you update table and say save, now it will allow us to do that. Else you need to drop the table and recreate it from scratch. So that's it. We are ready with all the things that we need to get started with your SQL Server query writing. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much.
Hi all, in this video I'm going to show you how to create database. To work with SQL Server, what we need is SQL Server Management Studio. I'm using SQL Server Express Edition, which is totally free. You can find it out on Microsoft website and you can download and install it. Do remember, whenever you go for installations, first install SQL Server, then proceed for installing Visual Studio. You won't face any problem. So I have SQL Server installed on my system, Express Edition, which is free. Now if I go for View Object Explorer, I find many folders here. One of them is databases. If I explore this, it will show me all the databases that I have created. Now, if I want to create a database, it's very simple. I can simply right click on the database folder and say add new database. Going to name the database as mydb. Now, if you observe, whenever I name the database as mydb, it is going to create database files. One is mydb, another is mydb_log. Now, what is mydb? Mydb contains the actual data, and mydb_log contains the log details. That is what all the operations that we are performing on various tables, at what time and who is performing that. So this file contains the log entries, but our actual data will be in mydb. Now, if I create the database, initially how much size should it occupy on the hard disk? It is 3 MB by default. If I want, I can increment it by 1. I can make it 4 MB, 5 MB, 6 MB as I like. I can move till my hard disk the size that I have. Auto growth. What if this 4 MB gets filled? I have created a database and initial size is 4 MB and I started inserting data into the database. If 4 MB is full, what is that it should do? It should move for auto growth by 1 MB and it should grow till no limit, unrestricted growth. If I click here, I can change these settings. I can make it grow in percentages or in fixed megabyte size, and I can unrestrict the file growth, or if I want, I can restrict the file growth till 100 MB. I say OK. That means my file can grow till 100 MB. Let me make it unrestricted. Say OK. Where is this file being stored? It is being stored in SQL and program Microsoft SQL Server in data folder. Same way, I have log file. Initial size is 1 MB and it is getting incremented automatically by 10%. I'll say OK. I got my database mydb. If I explore this, it will in turn contain many folders: database diagram, tables, views, synonyms, programmability, service broker, storage, security. Anyway, we are not going to work with all these folders, but few of them, like tables. In this database, if I want to create table, normally a database contains a number of tables. If I want to create the table, I'll be using this tables folder. So in our next video, we will see how to create tables. Thank you very much. Hello everyone, in this video I am going to show you how to create table, how to set the primary key, how to make identity column, and we will see how to make the foreign keys to another table. So to create a table, it is very simple. Select the table, right click, say new table. Say I want to create a department table. I will say DEPT ID, department ID. The data type, I want the department ID to be of type int. So I have all the available data types that I can use. So I'll use integer data type. Allow null is checked by default. Now, if I have a department and if I say the ID of the department is null, it is meaningless. That means if I have a department, then the department ID should not be null. I'll uncheck this. I'll say DEPT name. It will be of type varchar. Varchar is nothing but string in our programming language. Size 50. And it should not be null. And here I'll say HOD. Even though it is meaningless to maintain the HOD in the table, just for our beginning and understanding purpose, I am making HOD here. I'll say varchar 50. Now, this is the table I got. Department ID should be the primary key. Primary key is a key in the table using which I can identify a row uniquely. That means the values in the primary key column should not get repeated and no value should be null. So there are two constraints or two things that we need to remember about a primary key. The first is primary key does not allow null value, and the second thing is that primary key does not allow duplicate values. Now I want to make this column as primary key. So it is very simple. Select the column, right click and select set primary key. Now if I want to make a composite primary key, it's nothing but a primary key which contains more than one column. Then I can press Ctrl and I can select multiple columns and I can right click and say set primary key, remove primary key. Now I don't want that. I want a single column to be primary key. I'll set the primary key on single column and I'll save this. At the time of saving this, it will ask me the table name. So I'll say TBL underscore DEPT. So these are the coding standards that we normally follow. Your table name will have a prefix TBL and say OK. Now if I explore this tables folder, you should find department table here. I'll close this. Now I'll create one more table. I'll say add new table. This time I'm going to create employee table. So I'll say employee ID of type int. It should not allow null. Okay, let me say allow null. Ename of type varchar 50 and eSalary of type float which allows even points and eGender say varchar 10 and e date of birth say date time data type. So I have a date time data type available with me which works with dates. And finally, this employee belongs to what department? So I should have department ID as foreign key here. I'll write DEPT ID. It should be of same type that we created earlier, so it should be of integer type. A foreign key can have null value and a foreign key can have repeated values. So foreign key is quite opposite when we look at the property and compare it with primary key. Primary key does not allow null value, whereas foreign key allow null value. Primary key does not allow duplicate values, whereas foreign key allows duplicate values. Now let me make employee ID as primary key. I can set the primary key even from here. The icon that I have on the bar, toolbar. As soon as I set the primary key, automatically it has removed allow null from here, because primary key does not allow null value. Now what I want is ID. I don't want to give it or assign it manually. I want this column to generate values automatically. So because it is an integer column, I can set auto generate true on this. Auto generate is nothing but is identity in our SQL server. I'll say is identity true. Identity seed is 1, identity increment is 1. That means it should start with 1 and it should always increment it by 1. So by default the first record will get 1, second record will get 2, third record will get 3. So start with 1, increment it by 1. I'll save this. I'll name it as tbl underscore emp and I'll save this. Now what I want is I want one more column in this table, that is contact number. So I can simply select a column, right click, and I'll say insert column. I'll get a column here. I'll write contact of type varchar50 and I'll keep it as allow null. I have saved this. Now what I want is I want this contact column to be unique. Means what? If I have inserted a contact number, I should not reinsert the same contact number again. Contact number should be unique. So how do I make a column unique? See, as employee ID does not allow duplicate value, in the same way I want contact ID should not allow duplicate values. That means I should not have two employees with same contact number. As I cannot assume two employees with same employee ID, in the same way my requirement is that I don't want two employees with same contact number. Even though it is possible to have two employees same contact number, but in my requirement it is like that. So I want to make this column as unique. So how do I do that? It is very simple. Select the column, right click and go for indexes/keys and add a new index and select the column that you want to make unique. I want to make contact as unique. Say OK. Is unique is no here, you make it to yes and close this, save this. That's it. Now your contact column becomes unique. Now let us examine that. How do we examine that? It's very simple. Right click on employee table, say edit top 200 rows. Now I can start inserting the data into the table. Employee ID I cannot insert any value in this because it is auto increment. Employee name, I can write it as Tom. Employee salary 7,000. Employee gender male. Date of birth, I should input the value in the format mmddyy. So I should give month first, then date, then year. Contact number, department ID, say 1000. If you observe, I got ID 1 automatically. Now I'll insert another record, say Peter, employee salary 8,000, gender male, date of birth 9/4/1999. If you observe, it says that invalid date because I have written 1/9 extra. Contact number, as we know that just now we made the contact number as unique, I'll simply try to copy and paste the same contact number and I'll move next. Department, say the same 1000 department. It says that cannot insert duplicate in the column because we have so and so constraint. I need to change the contact number. This is 1000. Now this should work. So this is very simple. This is how we have created two records. Now I have the constraint unique on contact number. If you observe, I get the records 1, 2, 3 auto increment values in my employee table. But one thing you should observe, that I'm inputting the values for department ID as 1000, but do I have any department with 1000 as department ID? No. Then how is that it is accepting? It should not accept that. Unless and until we do not have department, I cannot give the department ID. It is accepting because we haven't created any relationship. We haven't created primary key and foreign key relationship. So I'll make these values as null as of now, and I'll show you how to create the relationship. Normally the practice that I follow, which is easy, is that explore the database diagram, right click, say add new database diagram. It will ask the table. Let us add the child table first, then the parent table. Now I have the diagram with me. I have two tables, and I know very well that the primary key of one table will act as a foreign key in another table. So relationship is from here till here. So it is very simple. Select the column, select it, drag and drop on the child column where it is acting as a foreign key. It will ask us the information. Yeah, it is the same. I'll say OK and say OK. Save this. Now the information got saved. Now the relation has been established. Now let us go to the employee table. Now let us try to insert 1000 here. Now it will stop us from doing this because there is no record with 1000. Escape this. So what is it I need to do? I need to create the parent record first, then add the child record. I'll say 1000, department is testing, HOD is Majid. I have one more department, 1001, say development, and HOD, say Manzoor. Now, if I go to this table and if I insert 1000, it is going to accept it. If I give 1001, it will accept it. If I try to give 1002, it is going to reject it. Why? Because there is no department 1002. So that's it. This is very simple. This is how we can create table. We can create primary key, we can create foreign keys, we can insert the value, we can make unique keys, we can make identity columns. Thank you very much.